This week we're feeling the love, whilst the robots do the work. And I'd better start packing for the moon.
You wanna go?
Is that really?
Yeah.
I'm coming.
If we want to take a quick snap these days, we tend to use one of these. But if you're serious about those photos, then this is still the camera of choice, the DSLR. Of course, it's not just the camera itself that's bigger. The sensor used to capture the image is also larger, providing the professional standard known as full frame, which is the equivalent in size to the old 35mm film. The mobile phone had clearly taken its toll on the compact camera, but the DSLR had remained largely untouched until the last couple of years, when a new system called mirrorless started to gain traction and respect.
Digital single-lens reflex cameras use a mirror system to bounce the light coming through the lens up to the viewfinder so you can see what you're shooting. But that has a few drawbacks. When you do take the shot, the whole mirror system has to flip away to reveal the sensor. That's noisy and can cause vibration. So enter mirrorless. Now the light hits the sensor directly, which also handles autofocus and exposure. And in doing so, it's also able to offer other features like face or eye detection. The newer full-frame mirrorless cameras house larger sensors, capturing more light for a better picture. Now, to do all of this, the viewfinder is no longer optical. It's a tiny electronic screen with a live feed from the sensor, which initially put off some professionals.
But is this the moment that the DSLR has finally met its match? Dan Simmons has been to the world's biggest photo expo, Photokina in Germany, to find out.
Photography isn't about cameras, it's about taking great pictures. But the introduction from heavyweights Canon and Nikon in the mirrorless full-frame market is turning the heads of pros as well as enthusiasts.
My name is Richard Walch. I'm an extreme sports photographer, and I had a chance for about 2 months to test the new EOS R.
This is Canon's new system. On sale from Tuesday, it'll work with existing EOS lenses and offers several big advantages over DSLR.
This new camera enables me to shoot scenarios that I couldn't shoot before. For example, if I go really close to an athlete, he's in his Zen mode where he prepares for a stunt, and it's quite critical. If I disturb him too much, he might lose his stunt. I might lose my picture. But EOS R I can put in the silent mode, and then it's really completely silent. You know, it's like there's no noise at all. The only way you understand it, you take a picture, is this little flash around the frame in your viewfinder. To be very honest, I was really skeptical about an electronic viewfinder. I was kind of scared, you know, how would it be to work with that? But when the light drops, it's a whole new ball game. It's like putting on, you know, night vision goggles, because you actually see more with this camera than you could see with your eyesight. You can shoot images and you can create compositions that I could never done before.
Canon fans have been waiting for this new system for some time now. They watched Sony introduce the world's first full-frame mirrorless model back in 2013. So why is it taking Canon so long to catch up?
Well, you know, we come from a digital SLR big leadership, and we have to make sure that we offer people what they want. So if you think...
But they wanted this full-frame mirrorless camera 2 years ago. That's when they wanted it.
Well, I don't know when they wanted, but we believe this is the right time.
Sony have been out for 5 years with a camera similar to this.
It was a growing market.
Are you saying it wasn't worth putting it out earlier?
It was maybe worth, maybe not.
Were you ready to put it out earlier?
We are ready today, clearly.
But were you ready before?
with this quality, where if we come up, this is the Canon, if we come up with something, it must be the best.
The best in mirrorless is understandably a bone of contention. So before I tell you why it might not be, let me tell you 4 good reasons why it might be the best. Canon claim the fastest autofocus at 1/200th of a second, more autofocus points than any other system, more than 5,000 if you need them, and the ability to autofocus in darker situations than any other camera in the world, -6 EV if you're interested. For the true hardcore, they've got a new 28-70 zoom that's f2 throughout the range. But is the EOS R the best? Nikon hasn't updated its famous camera lens f-mount system since it was introduced in 1959, until last week, when it too went mirrorless. The new full-frame Z6 and Z7 models are slimmer and lighter. An adapter allows them to work with existing Nikon lenses, and they sport a visibly wider Z-mount, allowing more light to hit the sensor.
The idea is to create lenses which are tech sharp to the corners and which perform at widest aperture. The new Z-mount from Nikon is actually produced to be more than 1,000 times faster than the previous F-mount, which is still there.
So that's the speed the camera talks to the lens and the lens can then respond.
Exactly. To be honest, we are actually not using that speed yet, but that is looking forward. I don't know what we're talking about in 5 years to 10 years, then you might have quite different applications.
What could that be used for?
Well, I mean, basically everything which has to be connected to artificial intelligence, augmented reality applications, whatever. I don't know yet what the future holds. I will be a rich man if I do.
Is there any reason why we should keep DSLRs in the future?
Oh, definitely. I mean, DSLR are still the ones which have, let's say, the longest battery life. They are sometimes you actually need the sturdiness and the weight. The mirrorless cameras will come there eventually.
Back in March, I first saw the camera and first handled it, and then all along the way, you're getting it sort of, before the rest of the world knows. It's very exciting.
Rob Whitworth specialises in what he calls flow motion films. While on location, he had to keep Nikon's new toy a secret with his granny's specially knitted camera cozies. So what does he think?
So for a lot of the filming, often I've got the camera in a gimbal, or there's no way to operate the focus, so you're relying on autofocus. And the example in the video was shooting our Talent using a 105mm lens at f1.4, so a really tiny depth of field, and beautiful bokeh behind, and it nailed it, reliably for multiple takes, which is really exciting. It's the first time that I would rely on this feature with Nikon cameras.
Japan, though, seems to have upset many pro shooters when it comes to memory slots. Both the Canon and Nikon offer just one, which doesn't allow the pros to back up while on the move. So I asked Nikon's head of marketing what the deal was. He recognised the problem and told me Nikon is looking to add a second slot in future models. In fairly low light conditions, I took out Nikon's Z7 and Sony's equivalent, the A7 III. Both did a decent job, and that's no surprise really, because Sony invented the full-frame mirrorless sector 5 years ago. Its cameras cost less than the Nikon and Canon, and many say outperform DSLRs, especially in video. Now, all these cameras shoot 4K, but Sony's had the chance to perfect that, and they provide 2 memory slots. They've developed eye recognition for reliable autofocus and now animal recognition. But even as the clear market leader in full-frame mirrorless cameras, I found out there's a lot more to come from Sony.
For example, 8K, right now the technology will have, so we just decide the timing for the customers. And the camera needs a high-speed AI, 2 types of AI. One is a cloud type of AI. That speed is very slow, but we need in the camera body AI we are developing. So the correct timing, we will launch a new model.
Elsewhere, Panasonic announced its full-frame mirrorless system on sale early next year. Its Lumix brand will team up with lens giants Leica and Sigma to offer a complete system. So will full-frame mirrorless kill off the DSLR? Eventually, that's likely. But remember, it's still probably what you shoot that makes the biggest difference.
It may not be the brightest lens or have super fast autofocus, but it is mirrorless.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week that Elon Musk was forced to step down as the chairman of Tesla. Kim Kardashian was named as the most dangerous celebrity to search for online, and the Irish Data Protection Commission launched a formal investigation into Facebook's recent data breach, which affected over 15 million accounts worldwide. It was also the week that Microsoft showed off a new range of Surface products, and Amazon announced that it would raise wages for staff in the UK and USA. The move will affect tens of thousands of employees in the UK, and follows criticism of the company's low wages, as well as complaints over their warehouse working conditions. And Japan's Advanced Industrial Science and Technology Institute has developed a robot that could make DIY a thing of the past. Staying in Japan, researchers at the University of Tokyo created the world's strongest indoor magnetic field, promptly blowing up their own lab. None of the team emerged as magnetically powered superheroes after the incident though. And finally, they may be famous for their wholesome image, but even Disney can't resist the occasional bit of graffiti. Disney Research and ETH Zurich have partnered in the creation of a graffiti drone, or as they call it, the Paint Copter. Fitted with a spray paint gun and cameras to detect what it's looking at, researchers hope that it could be used to replace scaffolding and ladders on large painting products, although it may need a bit more practice first.
In a warehouse in Silicon Valley, what might be the future of farming? A farm that is indoors, autonomous, and apparently incredibly productive compared to traditional methods. The man behind it believes he is working on technology that is essential if farming families like his are to thrive for generations to come.
So I grew up in Texas and Oklahoma, and we have a few thousand acres over there. Even there, we've had the issue of, like, my granddad cannot get enough help. And none of his daughters took it up. And so, luckily, I guess I am.
It's also the cleanest farm you've ever seen. In fact, it's more like a food lab, which is why I need to look like this before I can go in.
Well, now I've got my best look on. Let's,
All right.
let's check out the farm. The first thing I can see is this enormous great machine. Tell me about this.
This is Angus. This is our 1,000-pound mobile robot.
Angus.
Angus can autonomously navigate our farm.
Angus patrols the floor. He's omnidirectional and self-driving, and knows where he's going thanks to these markers up on the ceiling. He brings the modules, which are filled with water, over to the second robot in the room. The arm is used to harvest, which in this farm means moving the produce from one container to the next to help it have more room to grow. There's a lot of technical challenges to overcome here. The arm must pick up each plant, but do so delicately, and the arm must not damage the other plants in the process. Once the harvesting is complete, Angus moves it into the light. So just give me a sense of what different food this can grow.
These are some of the baby plants. So we have some butterhead, we have red romaine, we have some of that auric, and some really tiny baby red vein sorrel.
This is the only iron ox farm so far, and it doubles as the company's offices. Their business is relying on the fact that not only is their farm supposedly more efficient, but the food itself is more consistent. And of course, it needs to taste great.
Genovese basil. What I recommend is actually tearing it in half first and smelling it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's really nice. It's really very good.
That was Dave. Now, watching this now, you have absolutely no idea what I'm going to say or do next, let alone the ability to control it. But Nick Queck's been to see some technology that could change that.
I've been invited to York's inaugural Mediale Arts Festival to see an interactive film called What is Love? And I hope to find the answer.
Wish me luck.
Here, the audience is invited to not only view, but shape the narrative of a love story. They affect what happens as the video itself changes to complement the viewer's individual responses.
How am I feeling today?
Every so often, floating icons are projected in space in front of the screen, subtly encouraging onlookers to reach out and virtually guide the mood of the production. Well, that's the idea anyway.
It took me a while because we had to interact or do stuff, and I didn't understand.
I was trying to interact, but we couldn't really make it work, so we just went along with the flow, I think.
It was great. It's different.
A Leap Motion sensor tracks hand movements, and depending where and when you intervene, different pre-recorded scenes play out. The installation uses a storytelling medium known as object-based media. And this is billed as the first public airing of the tailor-made tech.
Basically, object-based media gives people options. If you'd like to mix it up and change the camera angle, you can play director. If the character or presenter is simply rabbiting on too much and you want to skip to the next part, then you can simply... Or if you started watching something after the watershed, it could automatically show you stuff a little more adult-friendly.
A new piece of editing software had to be created to produce the experience.
We spent about a year developing some underlying technology. These three groups are all different dialogue choices, and based on the decision that the viewer makes, it will go down one of these paths, and then it will select from these possibilities.
As a director, it's very interesting because it's far more exciting challenge to put a story together like this.
Hey gorgeous, you're in.
Because you allow the user to interact and change it depending on what they want out of that piece, and then they will get out of it what they've put into it.
That's exactly what broadcasters are working on. Netflix is set to broadcast a choose-your-own dystopian future episode of Black Mirror later this year, among other interactive experiments. BBC R&D, who helped develop the York installation, have been working on similar projects for a couple of years now.
This is our origami frog make-along. If you want to see a different view, maybe you need to see it top down to get the fold right, you can switch to top down, and there's an even closer up view of his hands.
Matt and his team have concocted personalised tutorials, weather updates, and even some dummy news packages.
OBM for News, I think, is quite interesting. We've got that in-depth analytics in the content that you might expect from multiplayer video games. You know, we know where people are losing track or failing or repeating stuff. And obviously with that object-based approach, you could go back and tweak it. But of course, if we over-personalise, we could be in danger of kind of the filter bubble effect of only showing people opinions that they already agree with. But also, if you flip that idea, maybe we can introduce counter-examples to people. I don't know if it's the opposite of personalisation, but introduce things to their media that do provide an opposite point of view to kind of make sure that we don't just reinforce everyone's views.
But is OBM ready for prime time? And are audiences up for it? Dr. Smith foresees an OBM future where artificial intelligence might know what we want and help guide our viewing.
If you imagine it kind of like Google Maps, where instead of getting the fastest route from A to B, you get the most interesting route from A to B. And that is where I think that the logical form of the AI will take, or the artificial intelligence will take, and the director will be providing the map.
We'll soon see if that map is worth the expedition.
That was Nick. And apologies, you can't choose who you do or don't watch quite so easily right now, or what they're wearing. This is the Zozo suit, and generally you would be wearing it in the privacy of your own home. The aim is that it helps create 3D measurements of you so you can order custom-made clothes online.
Around 400 unique markers are tracked by the phone's app. The company behind the suit, ZOZOTOWN, although you may never have heard of it, is the biggest online fashion retailer in Japan. A business which turned its founder, Yusaku Maezawa, from a drummer in a band into a billionaire. But he may be feeling a little distracted right now, as he's bought the first tickets for Elon Musk's 2023 SpaceX mission to the moon. He doesn't want to travel into space alone, though. I met up with the avid art collector at the Louis Vuitton Foundation in Paris, where his $110 million Basquiat painting is currently on show.
Ever since I was a kid, I have loved the moon very much. Yeah.
After hearing about SpaceX, at what point did you start to really think, yes, I actually want to go and do this?
最初に話があったのは5年前ぐらいで、その時はロシアのソユーズっていう宇宙船で行くことになってたんです。で、スペース X と話したのはこの2年ぐらい。最初はその1人か2人しか行けないと思ってたんだけど、イーロン・マスク、スペース X はまあ10人ぐらい連れて行けるかもしれないって話になって、でそしたら誰連れて行きたいということでアーティスト連れて行きたいってなりました。
Yusaku wants to bring artists along with him at his expense to see how their experience inspires their work.
まだ決まってないけど、その月をこう間近に見たりとか、地球を丸く見た時にそれを地球で待ってる人たちにうまく表現できる人を選びたいと思ってる。Maybe it will be musician, painter, dancer, film director. I don't know yet, but.
Okay, so right now there are still a lot of things in question, a lot needs to be developed. How likely do you think it is that this is going to go ahead?
まあその安全性がまだ担保されてないから、しかもまだスペース X は一人も有人飛行に成功してないので、そこはまだ皆さん心配でしょうけど、まあ来年の4月に初めての有人飛行をスペース X 社はやりますと。でそれは ISS っていう400キロ上空のところに人を送るんだけれども、それがまず成功しないとね、安心じゃないと思います。
So you trust Elon Musk? You know him? Do you like him? Are you friends? Would you like him to come?
イーロンとも仲良くなったよ。He's crazy, like me.
Is he crazy enough to want to go to the moon?
まあ今はクレイジーだけど、それはもうすぐにコモンになりますよ。で、誰かが最初クレイジーなことしないと物事も時代も変わらないから。それを僕ができることは大変誇りです。I'm very honored to do that.
What do you hope that you may come back thinking, feeling, or having learned?
でも僕の夢は世界平和だから、こう地球を丸く見たときにきっとその思いはすごく強くなると想像します。月の裏側はまあどっからも誰も見たことがないので、そこは楽しみ。あと月を裏側からこう回って地球が出てくるのをアースライズって言うんだけど、それもすごい楽しみ。
How much does a ticket to the moon cost?
I cannot say about that, but huge.
Hundreds of millions. Oh, you're not allowed to say whether it's hundreds of millions.
けど今までした旅行で一番高い。まあ僕が得るっていうよりは、それで人が何か感じてもらうことの方が大事です。
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And safe journey.
Thank you.
I hope it goes well.
You wanna go?
Is that really right?
Yeah.
I'm coming. I'm in. Yes, I wasn't expecting an invite. That's it for this week's show. You can keep track of what we're up to on Facebook and Twitter at BBC Click. And of course, we'll be back next week.